welcome back, guys, to another episode of Askthehustlers. Hope all of you are doing good, staying in and staying safe. It's very important in these challenging times. So today, for this episode, I'm interviewing Arjun Vaidya, who's the CEO at Dr. Vaidya's New Age Ayurveda. And just to give you all a short introduction about what he's done, about his journey in brief. Before his entrepreneurial journey began in 2016, Arjun graduated from Brown University in the US with a BA in International Relations and Economics. After working post that in private equity at a consumer sector focused fund for a while, Arjun decided to start an Ayurvedic healthcare company that would combine and leverage the family's traditions and legacy with cool branding, easy to use products, and online retail channels. So, just to give you all a short, brief idea about Dr. Vaidya, Dr. Vaidya is a new age Ayurvedic products business, which was founded by a family with over 150 years of Ayurvedic heritage. And over the last 150 years, family members have passed down formulations from generations to generations and created thousands of patients and actually treated thousands of patients in the process. So today, the company actually owns more than 96 FDA-approved formulations, if I'm not wrong, for Ayurvedic proprietary medicine, and all of this is manufactured in-house. So Dr. Vaidya has been recognized as under the list of Forbes 30 under 30. Actually, Arjun has in 2019, and also in the top 50 most impactful leaders in healthcare 2018. Firstly, Arjun, thank you so much for joining and for taking out the time. It really means a lot for someone like me. I've just started with the show, and it's been just 8 months I've been interviewing people, and the entire purpose of doing this is to actually gain practical insights from somebody who started, somebody who's just started his entrepreneurial journey. And what I see with most people of my age, with most budding entrepreneurs, is that uh, people usually lack access, right? They don't have access to so many people, and even if they do, a lot of people actually don't have the courage to go there, network, and learn from people for different reasons. And that's why my main purpose is to give access, as well as answer some questions, act as a catalyst, as a middleman, answer some questions which are relatable, specific, and practical regarding entrepreneurship. So as you've been started, and you started your journey in 2016, and you're quite young. So I think your journey is really relatable, is really insightful. So the first obvious question for me uh, is that, can you just briefly explain what your journey was like before 2016, before you started, and what you did till now?
So I think first, I really like the initiative. I think access is something which we may be scared to go and get. But I've learned from my entrepreneurial journey that the worst thing, right, that can happen to you when you reach out to someone is they say no. So
Correct.
when you reach out to me, I could have not responded or said no, but you lose nothing in writing a message to me.
Exactly.
And so I'll give you a simple example on this, right? Zomato has started Zomato Market,
Sure.
which is a piece of for groceries and essentials. And so, I reached out to someone from their team, and he said, "Look, we're looking only at groceries, and Ayurvedic products are not relevant." And I just thought that was not the right way to look at it, right? Because
Got it.
everybody wants Ayurvedic products at this time. So I could have said, "Okay, look, Zomato's not taking Ayurvedic products," and dropped it there. But I genuinely thought there's a need for Ayurvedic products to be Zomato, and especially Dr. Vaidya's products because of their immunity boosting range. So I wrote an email to Deepinder Goyal, the
Got it.
founder of Zomato, saying, "Hey,
Correct.
Deepinder, you're doing an amazing job. Here's what you're doing with Zomato Market, which I really like. Here's what I believe our brand can add to
True.
the table, and I think it's really relevant for your platform." I got a reply
Correct.
in 3 hours, and we're on Zomato Market now, right? So
Wow.
that's really the answer to people who are scared to gain access, scared to do sort of
Sure.
that cold call. I've done it all through my entrepreneurial journey, and I think um, it's been amazing. I've met some
Correct.
really cool people. I've done some really good business, but also just met amazing people, and if
Correct.
you write to me, for example, chances are, unless you write to me on LinkedIn, which takes a little bit longer to respond because I started on LinkedIn. If you write me an email, and my email is really easy to find, or someone drops me a WhatsApp message, I will respond.
Correct.
And I always
Correct.
respond, right? And there are a lot of entrepreneurs who do that. So I think it's really amazing that you started this initiative. I'll walk you through my journey.
Sure.
So Vaidya, my last name means Ayurvedic doctor.
Mm.
I have 150 years of Ayurveda legacy in my family. I grew up with asthma, juvenile bronchitis. From the
Yes.
age of 2, I was on pumps, nebulizers, steroids, a lot of medicines. And that was a tough childhood, right? Because I was the only kid who couldn't have ice cream, the only kid who had not tried Coca-Cola till I was 12 years old. I hadn't had a sip
Okay.
of Coca-Cola because
Okay.
it would jack my throat and I'd have breathing problems. I loved cricket, right? I started playing cricket when I was 5 years old. And by the age of 7, my grandfather stopped me from playing cricket because there was too much dust
Hmm.
on the cricket grounds. We
Hmm.
don't have those
Understood.
beautiful grassy grounds like the
Yes.
UK does or Australia does. We have dust bowls, right? And so I used to play cricket in Hindu Gymkhana in Bombay. And when I was in second grade, my dada pulled me out saying, "You cannot play
Cannot.
here. Not good for your health." And so I was that kid who was playing golf and squash, at age 7. The only kid who was playing golf and squash. Literally, I'd go on the golf course with my granddad, and there would be people only above the age of 40 on the golf course. And I was this 7-year-old kid who literally could not hit because very difficult at 7 years old to be able to hit a golf ball, right?
Sure. Yes.
So I grew up like that, and after 12 years of painstaking Ayurvedic treatment, I was cured of asthma, right? And so today I play cricket.
Okay.
My big success story of my life was when I was 15, I became cricket captain of my school, right? After not playing for 12 years. So that was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
I also run half marathons now. I'm really into sport. I
Wow.
play football, I play cricket, I play squash. So Ayurveda really got me back a part of my life which I didn't have.
Hmm.
And so I grew up a believer. I went to the US when I was 17 and a half years old for my undergrad. I went to Brown. And there I saw a move towards natural and organic products. I saw yoga being repackaged, right? That was something that really sort of excited me. It's a sort of 5,000-year-old Indian practice that has been passed down from generation to
Correct.
generation in
Yes.
India. But really, yoga mats, yoga pants, yoga gyms, yoga apparel made this $16 billion plus industry in the US. And I thought to myself, look, why isn't this the same with Ayurveda?
Ayurveda.
And so I finished my undergrad in the US, came back to India when I was 21 and a half years old. And I started a job in private equity at a fund called L Capital Asia. It's now called L Carrington. It's a private equity arm of the LIVitup Moat Hennessy Group.
Yeah.
So it's really young, but amazing learning experience, right? Because we focused only on Indian or sort of consumer B2C brands. And we were investors in Fab India, PVR, a company called Genesis Luxury, which brought Jimmy Choo, Paul Smith, Canali, To Me, all of these brands to India, Michael Kors. And so spent a lot of time on the consumer, right? Met 150 consumer brands in India across automotive, food and beverage, jewelry and watches, drinks, apparel,
Sure. Yes.
retail, across the board, right? And through this, really understood what it's like to build a consumer brand in India. I also realized that that's what really stimulated me. Like, why should someone pay 10 times the price of something that's a plain t-shirt if it has a horse on it,
Got
right?
it.
Or a horse with a jockey on it. And that's the story of Polo, and that really fascinated me. So brands have always fascinated me, right? And unfortunately, 3 months into me moving back to India, my dada passed away.
Okay.
So actually 5 months in, right? So I moved back to India in sort of June of 2013. And by December, he passed away. So we had this rich Ayurveda legacy. I was the one who had transcribed the family formulations from the scriptures to the computer. My father had an idea to build an Ayurveda brand in the 90s, but my dada was a doctor, right? He saw 350 patients a day in his clinic. He was one of India's most successful Ayurvedic doctors, but he didn't understand why products needed to be marketed.
Correct.
He didn't understand why these formulations. He's like, 350 people come every day to my clinic, so it doesn't make sense why I need to market it.
Sure.
And so really had this rich Ayurveda legacy, had these formulations, had this manufacturing facility. And then I was sort of working through my journey, and 3 years into private equity, I realized that, look, the brand side is what's exciting for me. The entrepreneurship side is what's exciting for me, not just the finance side. And I made a promise to my dada. So I said that I'm going to live by that promise and start an Ayurveda brand. I'm not saying that the promise to my dada was the only thing that got me to start it. I'm a rational individual as well. So I saw a move towards natural organic products coming to India. Ministry of Ayush was created in 2014. Patanjali revolution happened. And everyone was asking for Ayurvedic products, right?
Yes.
And so I thought it was a very interesting time to combine my family legacy with consumer trends today,
mm, mm,
repackage and rebrand Ayurveda to appeal to me. Look, I'm not a doctor, right?
mm, mm.
So can I create Prash in a capsule form with Herbofit? And that's one of the first products we launched. Can I make an Ayurvedic hangover product that solves the modern day dilemma of,
Got it.
having to party but still wanting to be productive the next day? And so that's the first two products we launched, Herbofit and LIVitup, to really repackage and rebrand Ayurveda to appeal to modern consumers. That was the idea behind the brand. And that was the journey to 2016 till we got to Dr. Vaidya's.
Okay. So, you've said a lot of things, and the first obvious question which comes up in my mind is that when you decided that, and especially when you had that work experience in private equity, so how much of that, because it was different, because it was not in line with Ayurveda or not even related, we can say, but how much of that resulted in some value addition to what you do right now, and that learning experience? Because, and I ask this because there's always this confusion, and also because entrepreneurship has now become cool, it's become glamorous, right? A lot of people want to get into entrepreneurship because it's the side which is being talked upon on social media, is appreciated. So how much of experience which you had in private equity actually gave some value addition to what you do right now? What did you learn? What did you learn in that experience which helped you with branding or whatever it was in what you do today at Dr. Vaidya's? And
so
also,
look,
I'm sorry.
I like to view everything. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, I also intend to include your formal education, right? Because formal education is also a crucial aspect. A lot of people are looking at doing an MBA. Is it important? Is it not?
Sure. So I'll take the private equity question first,
Sure.
right? I like to take a balanced view to everything. And so I'm not going to say that private equity taught me everything of what I do in entrepreneurship. It did not, right? I had to learn a lot while I started the business as well. I also started the business when I was very young. So I was 24 and a half years old when I started,
exactly.
right? So I was really young. I think I've learned a lot over the last 3.5 years with the company as well. And my journey and the company's journey have sort of gone together in the learning process. Entrepreneurship is very different from private equity. One thing that you get in private equity is your card can open any door, right? If you're an investor on the buy side, everybody wants to talk to you.
Correct.
And so I got a chance to speak to a lot of great people and learn a lot of great things, right? Even if you look at like the brands that we work with directly who are part of our portfolio, William Bissell from Fab India, Ajay Bijli from PVR, these are inspirational people, and their stories, and the other 150 entrepreneurs that I met across various brands, whether we invested, whether we didn't, whether we just had a chat, I really learned a lot.
Correct.
What also helped in that process was learning from their stories, meeting these people, but also building that network, right? Because you build a really, really strong network when you're in private equity. The other culture of being able to just write to people and see what happens, that came from private equity. It's not as easy in entrepreneurship, right? When you have the card of a private equity fund associated with you, everyone responds. When you have the card of a company that started 6 months ago by a 4.5-year-old kid,
correct.
You have to get that many responses. But that culture of writing to people and saying, "Yaar, if they don't respond, what do I lose?" That came from private equity. And so it was quite cool. What didn't come from private equity, because I like to use things in a balanced approach, is that people are going to say no a lot of times. You're nobody, right? Yes. You are literally nobody. I mean, I had times when I just started the business when nobody knew Dr. Vaidya's, right? And I still think that a very limited section of the population knows what Dr. Vaidya is, but at least some people know now after 3.5 years. But initially nobody had any idea, right? And then you go there and you go for a meeting, and I shaved, right? And I'm not able to grow a beard like you have right now. I still can't do it. And so I have this like childish beard. So I shave a lot, right? Because it doesn't look good.
Yes.
And so to shave and go for a meeting, and then I'd have folks say like, "Hey, where's your boss?"
Okay.
And I was like, "No, I'm the boss of the company." He's like, "No, where's your boss?" And then I had like situations where I used to drive a Honda Jazz at that time, right?
Okay.
Honda Jazz is a small car, and I'm a pretty young guy in a field of FMCG and Ayurveda, which is dominated by people who are sort of 35, 40 plus.
40 plus.
So my dad told me, "Look, dude, your Honda Jazz is not cutting it, man. Nobody's taking you seriously in your Honda Jazz. You have to buy a new car that's slightly bigger. It may not have to be more expensive, but your little piddly
Correct.
Honda Jazz 24-year-old kid walking out in a Dr. Vaidya's t-shirt, that's not sort of gaining you any credibility in the market. And so eventually, actually, with whatever savings I had, I bought a Creta.
Okay.
And those are small things which you don't think, right?
Got it.
Coming from foreign educated, egalitarian society, etc., all of that, you think there's no importance attached to these things. I used to go into meetings unshaved because I was like, at least they think I'm slightly older, you know? I don't want to look so young. So I think a lot of no's come with entrepreneurship as well, which private equity didn't teach me. Other thing that private equity didn't teach is, look, nothing happens on email in this country.
Yes.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Largely nothing happens on email. Follow-up is 50% part of my job. And it still is. We have 120 people working in our company, but 50% of my time as an entrepreneur still is follow-up.
Yes.
Did this happen? Why didn't it happen? Can it happen? Should we do it again? Should we try again? Should we try another route? I mean, that's the non-glamorous part of entrepreneurship, yes. Right? And so I'm going to move to the second part of your question, which entrepreneurship is cool. Look, if you read the newspapers and you see all those startups getting funded with a crazy amount of money, and you see posts on LinkedIn of entrepreneurs talking about the happy side of entrepreneurship. You see my LinkedIn as well, right? You'll see a glorified version of entrepreneurship, but I try to keep it real, right? And so you'll also see on my LinkedIn me physically packing orders during lockdown. You'll also see on my LinkedIn tough stories of people battling through COVID.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship is not sexy. It's not rosy. It's not only fun. It's the most rewarding thing you can ever do in your life, but it is the most difficult thing I have done. There is nothing, not applying to Brown, not doing IB exams in Dhirubhai Ambani International School, not writing the SATs, not working in private equity, nothing in my life that can compare to the struggles and the challenges we have faced with entrepreneurship. There's been one weekend where I got home from work on a Friday night and I did not leave my room till Monday morning at all. Did not leave my room because it was just so tough, right?
Sure.
You come from this great background of Brown University, Dhirubhai Ambani International School, top of the class, private equity, and then you come into this place where nobody gives a shit. Literally, no one. We don't care who you are, where you come from, you are nothing, your brand is nothing, and you're going to fail.
Correct.
And people want to see you fail, right? And so you really have to have a lot of grit and perseverance to sort of ride that storm. And really, really difficult. I think having a good support system, having a family.
It's very important.
My wife is the CEO of our business. She joined when we got engaged. And having that support system is really important. And I think it's been really helpful for us.
Correct. And you know, as you rightly said, like I want to go towards the way where I start to build something. The whole purpose of doing something on social, like, you know, taking this initiative, interviewing people, is also because I, in my own capacity, want to build something. Because I see social media as a platform where, you know, you can build something of your own without a lot of investment. You don't have to put in any money. It's just time and effort and a little bit of dedication. And that's why I saw that there are so many people out here in India who are creators. Like, I consume, and there are so many other people who create. So why can't I be somebody who can share my story and create something? And that's why that drive, you know, that drive of building something, I have that in me. But, you know, when I speak to people like you, when I interview people like you, that's when I actually realize that doing is really, really different than talking. And when you actually practically understand somebody's journey, you know, in depth, that's when you realize, that's when you get a reality check, and that's when you realize that this is really tough. And this is exactly what my next question is about. You know, that entrepreneurship, I mean, when you started, as you said that, you know, you were 24, which is very young. And you hardly, you said that you're not a doctor. You know, did you have that fear in mind? Because when I interview people like you, the things which I get in mind is that, will I be able to take so many responsibilities? Will I be able to handle money? Will I be able to take risks? Did you have those questions? Because it's really frightening, you know. And even when you start, did you have those days you just keep on self-doubting yourself, and it's really frightening? So how did you tackle that, right?
I still self-doubt, right? There are a lot of folks who like to talk about this sexy part of entrepreneurship, say, I've achieved success, I've done all of this, it's been great, I think you should do it as well. I self-doubted from day one. I still self-doubt. If I don't self-doubt, if I don't, in my mind, push myself down and say, boss, you think you're good? You think you made it to the Forbes 30 and 30 list? You have a long way to go. Until you're number one in India and then number one in the world, you're not even close to where you need to go, right? And so I'm the last person in my team who pats myself on the back. I'm the last person in my team who says, great. I remember we had a target to reach 100 orders a day on our website, right? And that was a target which seemed really far away when in November 2017, you're doing one order every couple of days.
Okay.
And I was like, it's a dream, to reach 100 orders a day. We reached 100 orders a day 1.5 years from then, right? So I think Jan of 2019-ish, we were doing 100 orders a day on our website. When we reached 100 orders a day, I was like, okay, 200. Then we reached 200 orders a day, okay, 500. We reached 500 orders a day, I was like, okay, 1,000. And you keep trying to push yourself, right? So I think that's a really, really important part of entrepreneurship. And when I started this, right, when I quit my job in private equity, and private equity is a very good paying career, right? It's the top of the financial pyramid of financial services. So you get good salary even at a young age. My grandmother literally said, you are crazy. You're quitting your job in entrepreneurship to do what my husband was doing. He's passed away, but he was a doctor. You have no context into this. You're young, you're joining this industry where everyone thinks you're going to fail. It's idiotic, right?
Yes.
And then 1 year in, I'm like, I've literally got nowhere. And then 2 years in, I'm like, I think I've literally got nowhere yet, right? And so there is a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. You have a lot of responsibility leading a ship where now we have 120 people, but one day we have 30, 40, 50 people. But their livelihood depends on you, right? And you make mistakes. Your company does badly and you have to cut salary or cut team. You're cutting people's lives, right? And so even in this lockdown, right, we've tried our best to say the last thing we will cut is our team salary. We'll cut costs, we'll cut agencies, we'll cut marketing budgets, we'll cut everything. But as far as possible, we won't cut our team salary. And so really, for me, there is self-doubt. There has always been self-doubt. Can I do this? Am I the right person for this? What if I make a mistake? And that happens all the time, right? Even at this time, we're hustling. We've launched 2 products in April amidst lockdown. We're launching 5 to 6 more products in May/June. I'm still saying, should I be launching products in lockdown? Will people buy them? Is it going to happen? Whatever, so you keep asking yourself these questions. If you don't ask yourself these questions, there's no point. You say, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. And then you lose. You're like, okay, now what?
Correct.
But I think honest feedback to yourself is really important.
Important, yes.
My family doesn't have that culture of patting people on the back. So if we get somewhere, we still reflect and say, how could we have done better? Some of my team thinks I'm crazy because like 1,000 orders a day on Amazon was really far when we were doing 50 orders a day. But we're at 1,000 orders a day, and I was like, okay, now how do we get 2,000? Like, how do we get a 3,000? How do we become number one brand? How do we beat every single Ayurveda brand? I think it's really important to give yourself honest feedback. Doubt is always there. Fear is always there. Anxiety is always there. Stress is always there. This lockdown was like crazy stress, right? It was all the entrepreneurial roller coaster. I've written an article about this on LinkedIn, about the entrepreneurial roller coaster condensed into 15 days, the lead up to an eventual starting of lockdown, right? You literally go from a healthcare business growing, reaching a peak of demand, and then zero.
And now it's zero, yes.
And then back because the government allows Ayurvedic products. So getting back permissions and then starting from zero and getting back to where you were. It's crazy.
Correct. And I think, as you said, in order to stay away from complacency, it's always better to be honest with yourself. It's always, when you be honest and, self-doubt, what I think, according to what you said, self-doubt comes when you keep taking action. So the more action you take, the more you fail. And those questions are going to come, but it's also a positive thing. And so back in the day, when in 2016, when you started, so did you spend any time learning about the products? Did you spend any time learning about how to deal with the government if you're working with the government? Was some technical side of this which you had no idea about? Did you spend any time, or you just took action and you were like trial and error, and you learn on the go?
So products have been with our family for 150 years. I know about the products. I've grown up with the products.
Yes.
Grown up with my grandfather. So that learning happened with my grandfather. The other learning is the entrepreneurial grit and the hustle. and nobody can teach you that.
Correct.
Whether it's getting things done, listing yourself on a platform, writing to people, recruiting a team, selling
Yeah.
your vision,
Exactly.
getting 100 rupees when you have only 1 rupee in your pocket. All of that is grit and the entrepreneurial hustle. You have to have big, thick skin, right? People will constantly tell you that you're really bad at what you do. I had a lot of people tell me, your father has a successful business in the jewelry and watch space. What are you wasting your time doing this Ayurveda? You know, burn your family's money and then end up at the end of the road with nothing. And those people now will say, oh, wow, you've done a really good job, built a really good brand, you know. What's really critical is, and my father used to say this to us a lot, success teaches you nothing at all. Failure teaches you everything.
Everything.
If you succeed on day one, you'll think it's a really great journey and a really great road. And so the first 2.5 years of Dr. Vaidya's, or slightly more than that, of being bootstrapped was great learning for me. Great learning. Because you have to hustle with limited resources, make it happen. And so that culture of being bootstrapped still exists in Dr. Vaidya's, right? People may say you've raised capital, you've funded business, etc. No, it doesn't matter. The day we raised capital, I told my team, nothing changes in this company at all. At all. Structure, hustle, payments, frugality, nothing changes.
Sure. Talking about the managing side of, the operation side of business, as you said, you and your wife, both of you all are involved in the business. And, what I've seen, I also, when I interview people, I make sure that I talk, if I get a chance to, if I get an opportunity to, I talk about family businesses. And what I've seen through them, through the community, is that taking decisions when your family is involved requires a lot of clarity, and there's a very thin line between the professional and the personal side of things. So how do you do you have any clarification on that? How do you maintain that line? How do you keep it away from businesses? How are the operations of your business day to day?
Look, there's no right answer to this at all, right? My family are shareholders in my company. My wife and I run it. The lines get gray in family. I'm not going to talk about family being involved in a business because it's only my wife and I who run the business. But I'll talk about us, right? Because that's what I know.
Correct.
So there's two ways that a husband, wife, duo can do in a business. One is really well, the other is really badly. There's no middle ground in that. And so a lot of folks told us that that's the worst decision ever. You all are not even married, you all are engaged, and you all are working in a business together. But I just thought it'll work. I thought, look, there is nobody who's going to be as committed to my business than my wife would be, and eventually my wife. She has skills which I don't have, and I think we can work together. Not saying there have not been difficult times, there have not been arguments, there have not been differences of opinion, but I think it's a very, very sort of open approach to doing things.
Correct.
It's also mutual respect, which is really important, right? So let's say, for example, you reach out to me with something related to operations, you reach out to me with something related to customer service, you reach out to me with something related to logistics, you reach out to me with something related to accounts. I will not even try to get involved in that.
Correct.
I will see Trisha and her team and say, thank you very much. I'm the CEO of the company. I have nothing to do with these departments. You can reach out to the COO of the company and she will take it forward with you. If I have an opinion, I can share my opinion. But if there's something related to business development, if there's something related to sales, if there's something related to production, if there's something related to brand, I will take that decision.
Correct.
And if there's something related to digital marketing, we'll take that decision together because that's something we work on together, right? And so demarcating responsibilities and knowing who's responsible for what is really, really
correct. Got it. So
for example, right, we are working on brand tonality and brand tone of voice. And so that involves both teams, right? Brand is me, but how the customer service team embodies the brand tone of voice is Trisha.
Okay.
So combining those two is something we work on together. But demarcating the responsibilities is sort of really important. And also realizing that you both have the same goal, right? Whether it's a co-founder or a family member or a team member, you have to align the goal. And as long as everybody knows that everybody's working towards the same goal, I think you're good.
You have your why in mind, and that's where everyone is aiming for. Correct. So, Arjun, you've actually focused a lot on branding and marketing, and taking an approach which is easier to understand for today's people. A lot of people are not interested in Ayurveda because they think it's boring. So, with all the repackaging, with all the rebranding you've done, what exactly is the strategy you focused on, or what was your approach to it? What did you have in mind when it comes to branding? What did you want to do with the products, with every single thing, the name, the packaging, and digital marketing as well?
I think it's a very wide question, so I'm going to try to answer it in whatever way I can.
So yeah,
I
so
think
like if you can just talk
Dr.
about
Vaidya
if you can just talk
Dr.
about the
Vaidya
branding strategy.
Dr. Vaidya stands for New Age Ayurveda, right? It's in our name. Ayurveda for the 21st century, repackaged, rebrand what we had as family legacy to appeal to modern consumers. That was the idea. Very early on into the company, we realized that digital is the way we are going to go. There's an opportunity in digital. The digital revolution has come to India. There are people across the country who are consuming content and products on digital. There's no Ayurveda brand that's winning digital only. So we're a digital first brand. 90% of our sales comes from online, and so our DNA is digital. When people said you're going to build an online only Ayurveda brand, people thought we were crazy. And then when I said it's actually going to have a large focus on our own website and not third-party platform, people thought we
Yeah,
were even crazier,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Today, 55% plus of Dr. Vaidya sales come from our own website.
Correct.
We're not dependent on anybody else. All these
Correct.
customers buy from us. And so really understanding that vision of saying, look, it's a big country. People don't know enough about Ayurveda. We need to give consumers knowledge of Ayurveda and give Ayurveda to them at their fingertips from a trustworthy source. That's what Dr. Vaidya does, right? So whether you're in Imphal or Anantnag or Trivandrum or Mandsaur, and I'm talking about north, east, central, south, and west. Obviously, we are in Mumbai, right? We will give you Ayurveda at your fingertips. We'll give you content. We'll give you consultation for free.
Yeah.
And we'll give you high quality trusted products. And that went hand in hand with the D2C and digital revolution in India. Our timing was right in a way because we launched at the same time that this revolution was coming to India. And I think it's been a great journey.
What I've seen is that the penetration is not as much as required or is needed. A lot of people still focus on home remedies. A lot of people still focus on having coffee after with an hangover. So how do you focus on penetrating these products more into people's lives? Like like the first thing which people can have in mind is this, this is the cure which is required for this.
So I talked about the first two products we launched, right? LIVitup and HerboFit. But
yes.
We thought we'll be a 2-product company to start with, and we didn't know what the journey would be. Today, Dr. Vaidya actually has 54 products. And so we are available for every part of your life, from chronic ailments like diabetes, arthritis, asthma, intestinal ailments, kidney ailments, to lifestyle problems like immunity, energy, hygiene, hangover, sexual wellness, weight management, cough, cold, hair, skin, etc. I think that's what's allowed us to penetrate to people's life. Let's say, for example, Dharam, you come to me and say, I like LIVitup, I have a hangover. You get trust into Dr. Vaidya's. The next time you have a cough, cold, muscle pain, you will buy our cough syrup or medicine for cold or our pain balm. If your mom has diabetes, you will buy a diabetes supplement. So as long as we sell you into the vision of Ayurveda, we then want to cross-sell you and upsell you for the rest of our range so that Dr. Vaidya, not just LIVitup, becomes a part of your life. And so 1 year into the company, we realized this was a challenge. And so we launched 27 more products in November 2017. And now we have a 54 products range, and we're going to launch another 6 more products. We realized that it's important to have a breadth of SKUs, but don't have 200 SKUs because that confuses customers. So in every ailment, every part, we have 1, 2, 3 SKUs, right? And that's what really becomes a part of your life. I think the other thing is we're not just an urban brand, right? And so there's this myth that D2C brands, Mumbai-based, foreign-educated, talk to only top-tier consumers. No, 83% of Dr. Vaidya's consumers come from outside the top 10 cities. Most of our ads don't speak English. We run our ads in Hindi and English.
Correct.
We go pretty deep into this country, right? We've fulfilled more than 16,500 pin codes across India. And that's the power of Dr. Vaidya's, right? We're going deep into this country. LIVitup is a passion project. It's the first product I launched. I love the product, but LIVitup is not Dr. Vaidya's. Dr. Vaidya's is far deeper than LIVitup.
Yes, because you've actually, when I was reading about Dr. Vaidya's and I went through the website also, there are so many different categories as you mentioned. So it basically covers every aspect. And one more thing which I had in mind is that, when it comes to recruiting people, having a team which is specialized in different things, as digital marketing, the software, the backend, logistics. How did you, like when you were 24, when you started this, how did you have that observation, that eye for that vision for the right people, because having a team with the right vision, that genuineness, that authenticity, that transparency, it's very difficult to find people like that. So what do you look for when you recruit people? What do you look for when you hire somebody?
So, there's no right answer to this. And it's really, really, really difficult. From my first team, right, of Dr. Vaidya's, which we started with, there were like, I think there were 16 people,
Hmm.
right? Uh, Only 2 people remain in the company. We had a
Okay.
full churn, right, of
Okay.
people. Um, and that's the only way we learned, right?
Hmm.
So first, you're initially in the early days, you'll find it very difficult to recruit people. I think now it's not that difficult to recruit people because we have a brand, we have a name, we have a big team, people refer people, etc. But the first few sort of learnings are that it's very difficult to recruit a team. Also, it's very difficult to retain a team when you're not really doing well, right?
Hmm.
So really figuring out what your company culture is in this time is really important. So
Hmm.
today, Dr. Vaidya stands for 7 philosophies, but I'm not going to go into each of the philosophies. I'll tell you what Dr. Vaidya's ideal team member looks like. Dr. Vaidya's ideal team member loves what we do, works really hard,
Hmm.
does not shy away from doing things which other people thought was impossible,
Hmm.
uh, and does not bullshit, right? If you are able to do these things, you will fit into the team. If you are not able to do these things, your team and you will not enjoy your work experience at Dr. Vedya's. So we are not a startup that believes in a fancy office, that believes in Instagramming our work every day, cool culture, parties after work. No, we're an Ayurvedic products company. We're here to help people. So if you love hard work, if you love building things that change India, then we are the right company.
Correct.
And so we are not, we don't lie to people and say we are something for everyone, right? Our culture is
Hmm.
very clear. We say to everyone coming into an interview as well. This is how we work. If you like to work hard, if you like to work in difficult situations and come out a winner, then we're the right company. If you are looking for something relaxed, if you're looking for something cool, if you're looking for something fun, we're not a fun place.
Hmm.
If you think hard work is fun, we're a fun place.
Correct. Correct.
So developing that culture is really important. And there's no right answer. This is how Dr. Vaidya's is a culture. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that that's how other
Yeah.
companies
Yeah.
should be.
Sure.
That's what we have built as a culture because that's what the founders believe, the founding team believes, the team likes. So,
Correct.
so that's the culture, right? And so
Yes.
Sunday may be as busy or slightly less busy, but still a pretty busy day for me.
Okay. Okay. Okay, understood. So, you've focused on branding your products, rebranding them. So you've also, as you said, your prior experience also must have helped you a lot about gaining consumer insights, right? Actually understanding consumers in India. So, what are some basic observations? I mean, some very basic, simple observations about human nature, human psychology, which you might have come across in the last few years of your journey.
You know, very interesting anecdote, right? I had the good fortune of meeting Radhakrishnan Damani. He's the founder of DMart.
Correct.
I had a meeting with him just to gain knowledge, right? And in that meeting, he said, "Show me some of your products." So I took out some of our products and I was showing him, and he's like, "हाँ, तो ये बाम का price क्या है?" So I said, 50 ग्राम, 125 रुपए. He said 125 rupees. Okay. Better tell me similar pricing, a similar size of product. What's the price of Vicks, Monisons, and Iodex? This was
Okay.
early in my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't have the answer. And he said, "आपका price थोड़ा high है."
Mm-hmm.
Then he told me the price of Vicks, Monisons, and Iodex at a similar size. And I said, "Wow, so how do you know this?" He said, "Look, before I started DMart, I had a Apna Bazaar franchise. And for 1 year, I worked on the cash till. And I knew exactly what I was doing, right? Uh, Getting the pulse of the consumer is really important. And from
Mm.
that, what I learned is if you don't know your customer, you're wasting your time by coming up with your own judgments. So I still do customer service an hour every week. I pick up the phone when I speak to customers. Trisha does it 2, 3 hours a week. She
Mm.
still picks up the phone and speaks to customers, right? If there's a customer who really had a bad experience with Dr. Vaidya's,
Mm.
2 or 3 times a month, I call the customer up myself. And I
Okay.
say, "Hey, I'm the CEO of the company. I'm really sorry. we didn't mean to do this to you. This is why this has happened. We'll refund you the money, but we'll also never, uh, this will never happen again, right? Not for you, not for anybody else. And so staying close to your customer is something really important. The other learning that came from that conversation with Radhakrishnan Damani was price is important. And so I said, yes, sir, to him. I said, India is a very value conscious market. And he said, no, 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 no. India is not a very value conscious market. He said, you live in a country called South Bombay. South Bombay equals New York and the US and Europe, right? It's a different country altogether from the way Indians consume. How do you buy your flights? So I said, I go and make my trip. He said, Yatra mein, if there is yatra.com or ClearTrip pe 500 rupees ka coupon hai, or flight same hai, right? So where will you buy a flight? Make my trip? No. Yatra. And so he said, basically, any consumer is looking for value. Now there's two ways to do value, right? One is price. The other is inherent product value. But if you don't establish either of these things, then you say, packaging se maine value kiya hai, mera packaging acha hai, so I can charge 10 times the price. That's not real. So inherently, the consumer has to value the product more, or the price has to be competitive, and you have to stand for something. So these are the two learnings for me which have determined everything we do in our brand.
Got it. So, one question which is a little about social media. When it comes to marketing as an entrepreneur, how much do you believe that how much do you believe in a personal brand? How much do you believe that you as a CEO, you as the founder, has to be out there on social just to build credibility, to put content out in terms of it's not necessary that you talk about the company, but just about you, about your opinions, your life. Do you believe in that? To have a personal brand on social?
It's not a forced thing at all, by the way.
Hmm.
It's not a forced thing at all. I think there are some people who believe, yeah, you have to do it. If you don't do it, nothing will happen. My view is, look, if you do something that's not genuine, it's going to come out very clearly, right?
Correct.
I wear my Dr. Vaidya's t-shirt every day because I want to wear my Dr. Vaidya's t-shirt every day. I don't make it to prove a point. I love wearing this t-shirt. I wear this band with the Indian flag on it every day. My product has proudly Indian on every day because I am genuinely very patriotic. Not because India bikta hai to main bikta. That gets done very easily, right? And people can see through it very easily. My view is be yourself. Be yourself. If you believe that you should be out there, be out there. If you believe you shouldn't be out there, if your company should be out there, don't be out there. I believe my company always comes first. And so I will not put my face out. My company's logo first. But if you see my content on LinkedIn, it's what I genuinely believe.
Correct. So you put out what you genuinely believe.
I genuinely believe it, I'll put it in. So I put a very cool post the other day, which I think is very cool. I put the sleeve of my t-shirt with two of my products on it. The sleeve, all our t-shirt sleeves say proudly Indian, and our products, every single one of our products say proudly Indian. And I put this post saying, we stand for something which is inherently Indian. We don't stand for it because everyone's saying be vocal for local right now. We stood for it from day one. Every single one of our products say proudly Indian. This is our time to support Indian brands. Tag your favorite Indian brand as a comment to this LinkedIn post so that people can get visibility into other brands as well. And I mean, 10,000 people have viewed that post already, and other brands are getting visibility. And so we're in a chain to support Indian brands. And that was my point, right?
Correct.
That's genuinely what I believe. I believe that right now we have to support Indian brands. And so I tagged 15 of my favorite Indian brands, saying, hey guys, I am my brand, but go and access another 15 brands, which I think are really cool.
So if you be yourself, it's unique in your own way, right? Because everything is custom. So since you are young, Arjun, you started your entrepreneurial journey very young. I had this question which I wanted to ask you about friends in general, the kind of circle you have, the kind of network you are. You apart from the network you have professionally, the kind of network you have otherwise in your personal life. How much of a role has it played in your life, and what do you think is important? Because a lot of the youth today, they fear this judgment from their friends. They have they don't do a lot of things. They're not able to be themselves only because of the kind of people they have around them, or maybe because they fear their judgments, their opinions on them. And that's why I asked this question. Why or how much has a friend circle, as a network, personal network, has a role to play in your life, and how does it? Correct.
Interesting question, and the question has two parts. I'm going to answer the first part, peer pressure, right?
Sure.
Do you do things because you think people will accept it or people will approve it or not? Um, it's tough, right? It's tough because everyone wants acceptance and everyone wants to do things that people think are perceived in the right manner. My view on that is forget that completely if you want to be an entrepreneur. You're going to be selling yourself and your brand so much, people are going to laugh at you. And it's happened to me multiple times.
Hmm.
People are like, stop just wearing your LIVitup cap everywhere and stop just
Correct.
writing Dr. Vedyas everywhere and selling Dr. Vedyas everywhere. Your WhatsApp DP is also your company logo. Your Gmail DP is also your company logo. Your Facebook cover photo also has your company logo. Your LinkedIn cover photo also has your company logo. हर जगह आप Dr. Vedyas का नाम डाल रहे हो, it's embarrassing, right?
Hmm.
At least in the early days, people used to say that. They were like,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is like crazy, you're selling yourself too much. And people used to laugh at me, but it's fine. I believed in it. So
Hmm.
if you laugh at me, I don't care.
Correct.
I'm fine with it. Laugh at me now. The same people will stop laughing at you, right? Later,
Hmm.
eventually in life, when you reach some level of success. And even if they're laughing at you, that's their narrow mindedness, not yours. So
Got
I
it.
think if you believe in something,
Hmm.
screw peer pressure. Doesn't really matter. When I talk about friends, I think friends can inspire you in different ways. Um, there are friends that I have growing up, and those are your biggest cheerleaders and people who support you, and those are people who are there for you, right? Um, and that set of friends will never go away. But you also make a new set of friends who are from the same industry, who are from the same mindset, who may be entrepreneurs
Hmm.
themselves, and it's important to have both sets of friends.
Correct. So that's what helps you keep that balance. Correct. And
Sometimes my friends may not be entrepreneurs. They may not understand
got it.
what building a startup is. Don't blame them. They don't do it, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, got to find other folks who you can understand.
Got it. So one last question I had for you is that as an entrepreneur, uh, how do you believe in really grinding? I mean, working a certain number of hours a week, or setting up that benchmark which is really high, really ambitious. Like, do you believe that having that self-awareness, know that this is my capability and this much I can put, so I should just put in that much of an effort, irrespective of what irrespective of whether it's really high, or that benchmark is what everyone's asking for.
I'm a grinder.
Hmm.
I grind. I work 12, 14 hours every day.
Okay.
I'm always on my phone. I'm always replying to people.
Okay.
I'm always coming up with new ideas. That's my personality. I know people who are not grinders who've reached as much success. I think do what works for you. That's really important. I'm also a pretty scatterbrained person. I'm like, I may be having a conversation with you, but I may be
Correct.
thinking of something completely
Got it.
different. That's just how I am. I'm
Huh.
the business
Sure.
dev or ideation side of our business. My wife Trisha is much more organized person. She does many more organized things.
Hmm.
So do what works for you. I'm a grinder. Grinding has been part of my family's
Hmm.
sort of DNA. My dad is a grinder. My dada was a grinder. So I'm a grinder.
Got it.
I know people who aren't, right? And so you got to do what works for you. I'll tell you one very interesting anecdote that I learned from this podcast called Masters of Scale. It's a podcast by Reid Hoffman, who is the founder of LinkedIn, and now runs Greylock Partners. Blah, blah. It's a great podcast. And he had Sarah Blakely from Spanx. And Sarah Blakely said, I think the best on my journey to work. And she lived in Atlanta and she used to live far from the office, and then eventually she lived closer to the office. But she said that car journey of driving to work is when I got the best ideas. So even when I moved closer to the office, I made that car journey 30 to 35 minutes because that time is the time I can think. And so for me, that time is when I go for a run. And so if I don't go for a run for a week, I may not get those ideas. Or if I go work out, right? When I go work
Got
out,
it.
I get my idea. And so you need to do what works for you. If it's grinding, great. If it's that mental space, you need to take that mental space to ideate. You also need to speak to
Hmm.
people outside your business. You need to speak to people, like, for example, we're launching a new label, a new product, right? And so the label of that product was something I had seen 20 times, and my team had seen 20 times. And there was one section of the label which was yellow in color. And I was just chatting with my cousin yesterday. She runs a content studio, And so she was talking to me about some content ideas for Dr. Vaidya's. And I was like, hey, by the way, we're launching this fruit and veggie wash product or something like that. We're launching a new product, right? So here's the label of the product. What do you think? And she was like, actually, the part where it's yellow, try it with white. It'll look better. And we tried it with white, and all of us agreed it looked better. But none of us thought of that idea because we were so sort of narrow-minded in our approach.
Correct. Got it.
And really sort of expanding your horizon is
Hmm.
also very important.
So doing those activities, the other activities apart from what you do in your work is important because it keeps you, it also gives you a lot of insights from the outside world, right? So Arjun, thank you so much for doing this, firstly, for taking out the time. I really hope you enjoyed the discussion, and for me it was really valuable. It was insightful, and I'm sure the ones who will watch this will also get a lot of practical stuff to learn from this conversation. So thank you so much for joining today and taking out.
Thanks for having me. Great chat. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.